Am I the asshole for insisting that my stepdaughter drive my daughter to her friend's house because her dad bought her a car? I, a 42 male, whose wife is a 39 female, had a daughter, Sophie, with her ex before we got together. She's now 17. I have an 11-year-old daughter with my late wife. My wife and I have been together for 3 years. My wife is very kind to me and my daughter. They are quite close. My daughter has very little memory of her mom and has told me how nice it is to feel like she has a mom now. My wife is also happy to play that role in my daughter's life. I'm not as close to Sophie because she's older and she spends 2 weeks a month at her dad's place. But she's polite to me and I think she's a wonderful girl. Sophie's dad is pretty well off. My wife and I are less so. He was the main earner before my wife left him. My wife and I both work full time, but we have to be careful with our finances right now. We got my daughter a few books and Sophie a dress for Christmas. Both of them like their presents. Sophie's dad got Sophie a brand new car. We have only one car in the family right now. I drop my wife off on the way to work in the morning. It works out, but it doesn't mean that I couldn't. So it means that I cannot take my daughter or Sophie anywhere during the holidays as my wife still has to work. I have the week off because I am a teacher. She does have a few days off though. Now that Sophie has a car, she is planning to go to her friend's New Year party. My daughter asked if Sophie could drop her at her friend's house too, and Sophie said it's too far out of the way, extra half an hour approximately. And it is her car, so my daughter can wait until she's old enough to drive. I thought this was uncalled for, so I called Sophie. And I told her she was being rude and that she should drop my daughter. She said it's not her fault. I can't afford another car for us. My wife said I should let it go because my daughter has a dad all the time and Sophie has one only half the time, and a car is a fair compensation. Not the right word, but I can think of a better one for that. My daughter and Sophie are upset now. Am I an asshole? I suppose that my wife is right that it is her car. She can do whatever she wants. I just thought that it wouldn't hurt her to think of others this time. My daughter acts very politely, and Sophie often has much nicer things than my daughter, and I've never asked her to share or anything, and I pay for all her gas while she lives with us. 30 minutes extra means 15 minutes out of the way, 30 minutes total. An hour is an hour is a lot of extra driving, but my daughter was going to 30 minutes away. Well, but I want to know if I was being an asshole for asking my stepdaughter to drive my daughter. No, you're not being an asshole. I think it's perfectly normal to ask your stepdaughter who lives with you to drop your daughter since now you guys are family. They are family. And I suppose the response was uncalled for, her saying that it's her car and blah, blah, blah. That was very rude. And since you stated that your daughter was polite in asking, I think Sophie was wrong. Sophie, wherever you are, if you see this, you are wrong. You are the asshole, not as your stepfather. I know stepfather are not very popular in any books or society, but you are the asshole since he even paid for your gas for you. Try and show a little appreciation by dropping your little sister off the block for a party, but you wouldn't. So this time you were the asshole. What do you think, guys? Do you think the stepfather was the asshole or Sophie was the asshole?